Hello, welcome to Quest for Thunder. I'm Mark. My wife Jean and I are refitting our 1983 Pearson 422, and we're glad you've joined us. If this is your first time visiting Quest for Thunder, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell so that you'll receive notification when we upload new content. We're glad you're here. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Welcome to Quest for Thunder and enjoy the video. Thank you.
So yesterday we bedded this piece of core material in the deck here, and this afternoon we've come back to the boat to check it. It seems like it's cured. We covered it with some plastic last night when we left so that we could put the weight on it. We had all these weights, a bunch of these weights, these scuba weights sitting on top of it to keep the keep pressure on it and to keep the board in place. And I think maybe there was some condensation or whatever, so the wood looks a little wet. It is a little wet, but as far as I can tell, it bonded to the epoxy. It looks like the epoxy cured. So the next step for this particular piece is to fill in around all the edges with a thickened epoxy to bring it up level to the surface. All the way around here, all the way around in the back here, at the back of the chain plate, and then also in the front of the chain plate right there, and on the sides to fill it up. So that's what we need to do. I'm going to let this dry out a little bit before we do anything because it's still damp from whatever condensation or whatever's on it. So we're continuing to work on this recoring section on the deck that we had to recore. This little section of about 1 foot square, and I'm at the point now where I'm about to adhere the outer skin back to the core, and in order to do that properly I need to mix up some epoxy and to thicken it a little bit. So I'm going to be making some thickened epoxy. Alright, so two squirts of resin and 2 squirts of hardener in here. I'm using 209, which is the extra slow hardener, because this is Houston and it's really hot here, and so in order to have a decent working time, I'm using the extra slow hardener. Unfortunately, it takes a long time for it to set up. That's the only drawback. But when you're working in the heat, you want that extra working time. So as things cool off, it gets to be kind of a pain because it takes a while. But anyway, that's what we're doing now. We're going to add this 403. What I'm looking for basically is the consistency of mayonnaise, ketchup. I'm looking for ketchup consistency here. So I'm going to add the microfibers and get it stirred up. So this is the consistency, about the consistency I'm looking for right here. You can see it's like, it's like ketchup. It's kind of a ketchup-y consistency. So that ought to be the right consistency for what we're looking for. All right, so this is where it's going to go right here. So I'm basically just going to pour it on here and then trowel it on. There, like so. There. Oops. Trowel. Just gonna trowel it on there, basically. All right, so can't see much. I got a bunch of weights on there. I got the fiberglass pieces back into place, and then I covered it with some wax paper, and then I put some weights on it to hold it down into the thickened epoxy so it'll bond. And then after it sets up, so sometime tomorrow, I'll come back, take off the weights and the wax paper, and then do a little bit of sanding, and then filling any places that need it, that might have gotten missed, and then we'll call this good. Alright, here we have yet another fiberglass repair that needs to be done. This is in our companionway hatch, and
Not real sure what happened here. This was here when we purchased the boat. I've cleaned it up, and I've taken out the core that was really nasty, you know, just underneath the lip there. I'm gonna fill it with some thickened epoxy, and then I mean, it won't look perfect and it certainly won't match, but it'll certainly look better than a big hole, won't it? So that's what I'm going to do right now. So this is what I'm going to be using to fill that hole. This is the stuff that I used to fill the holes after I removed the eyebrow. This is that 610 adhesive. It's thickened epoxy by West Systems. The reason I'm doing it with this and not just mixing up some thickened epoxy and putting it in the holes, because there is a bit of there's a slight angle that you probably cannot see on the camera, but it does angle down towards the right as you look at this. And because I've scarfed out underneath the fiberglass top shell, I need to be able to get epoxy up underneath that lip. And so the only way to do that really effectively is to use something like this with a tip and applicator like that, where I can kind of jab that up underneath there and squeeze it out into the cavity. So my plan is to fill that whole cavity with this thickened epoxy. So I'm going to get to it. Okay, so there's the repair. It's filled, and then I leveled it off. Just let it cure. It takes a couple hours to cure. This thickened epoxy does. I'm going to take a paper towel and see if I can clean up some of the edges real quick, though, so that I don't have too much to sand around the edges. Alright, so I'm going to do that right now, but that's about it. I think we're going to be calling it a day. It's starting to get late. So